This is going to record my voice, whatever I'm doing here, and my screen. Okay? So, right click on the toolbar, customize toolbar, and then, what is going on here? And then you just have to drag whatever you want to the toolbar. So just look at my tools over here. Whenever you want to remove an icon, you just remove it from the toolbar. Whenever you want to add, you add on the toolbar. Okay? So you guys can do and add the ones I'm using here. These are the ones that you really need. Everything else I don't use that much, so I don't put on the toolbar. And then you just click, when you're finished, you click done. Okay? So I'm gonna pause. So you should also go to view and show format bar to have these commands on your toolbar. So the next step is to add the rulers around the slide. To do that, you click Command R. Command R will give you the rulers. If you click Command R again, it disappears the rulers. Command R shows the ruler. Command R. So now we need to add those accessory lines that shows when we're moving the objects in the slide. So to do that, we go to Keynote and we click Preferences, and then we click in Rulers, and we're gonna activate everything in this window. You can leave this in pixels and activate everything in the window. And that's it. Then it's just close the window. Again, you go to Keynote, Preferences, Ruler, and activate everything. And then close the window. So now what I want to do is to save this presentation. Okay? So we can either go here on File and Save, or you can just click Command S. So that's another one, that every minute I'm clicking this command. Every time I do a couple of number of steps, I Command S. So I save. If something happens, I don't lose everything that I worked on. Since this is the beginning, this is the first time we are saving, even we clicked save, we have to save as something here. So I suggest you to write template on the name of the file and select the desktop over here and click save. If you look on your desktop, you should have a presentation called template. Okay? So we don't want to play with this one anymore. Leave it the way it is, and we're going to save another one to start working. And my suggestion is that afterwards you will use this template and start putting everything that you use on every single case. So the cross, the drawings, the lines, the ruler, then you customize your template the way you want. So to do that, again, we're gonna click on, pretend you just opened your template and you have a new patient. So we're gonna click on Keynote, on File, and Save As. Now, not save, but Save As. This window will open, and you can put the name of your new patient, or in this case, I'm gonna put DSD San Francisco in desktop, and I will save. So now if you look on your desktop, you should have a template and another presentation, DSD San Francisco. So two presentations that at this moment are exactly the same.
The same version, is that the same as?
So now the next step is open the inspector. We can leave it open here on the corner, and we're gonna play with the color of the slide and the size of the slide. Okay, the first thing is the side of the slide. So if you click here on this little icon here, actually I'm sorry, the first icon called document, the first icon on the inspector window called document, you will see here the slide size. So you can use one of the predetermined proportions here, or you can create your own proportion as you wish. So when I'm doing lectures, I create my own one, 3:1, because all the meetings and dental congresses, they use 3:1 screens, okay, like I did yesterday. So then I will choose 720 by 2160. So you go here in custom slide, you put over here, don't need to do this, I would put 720 by 2160, and I will press OK, and I will get my 3:1 slide. My suggestion is that you don't use 3:1, but instead use the proportion of TV, 16 by 9, and that is the last one, 1920 1080. So that is a widescreen TV. Okay? So if you go here to the second icon, slide, and you have appearance, here when you click in appearance you have this little window. So when you click on this window, this other window will open. Then you have all these types of color selection. I usually use this one, and you can pick any color. This needs to be selected. You see here, this is a very important thing, because anything that you're gonna change color, first you need to select this little window, so you see it's dark, and then you pick the color that you want. Okay, if this window is not selected, it doesn't, you can click here and nothing will change on the slide or on the font or on the line or whatever you're changing color. So first select the color window and then click on the color. So I want one slide that is completely black, and then I want everybody to click on the slide over here and click Command D. Command D is to duplicate. We're going to use this a lot. So anything you want to duplicate, you click Command D. If you don't click on the slide here, if you click on this big slide over here, it's not going to duplicate the slide. You have to click on the little slide on the side and then Command D. So you have two black slides. The second slide, I will click Color, make sure it's dark around this square, and then click White. So I want one black and one white slide, and then I would press Command S to save. So once in a while, save it. The next step is to add the cross. So you can close this color window here so it doesn't waste space here, and we're gonna add the cross. So go to shapes, and the first icon is the line. So if you click, you're gonna have a white line in the middle of your slide. Now, I want to position this line perfectly vertical and right in the middle of the slide. So you have to click in one of the tips of the line, click, and then click on Shift, the key Shift. So the Shift will make sure when you move, it will only move on completely horizontal, jump to 45, or jump to perfectly vertical. So you cannot move. If you move without the Shift, it moves anywhere you want. If you move holding the Shift, it will stop perfectly vertical. So I want to make one line perfectly vertical from the top to the bottom of the slide. You're going to just click on the line. It's already perfectly vertical, so you don't want to change the inclination, but I want to change the position. So if I click on the line, I can move the line up and down, right and left. So I want to put it right on the 0, and the slide will help you by showing the yellow line. And then I want to put up and down until this other line shows. This means this line is perfectly centered in the slide. Okay? So you click on the line, click and hold and move. And then you move until you have these yellow lines showing it that it's right in the center of the slide. What I want now is to make this a how do you call it, dotted line. So I click on the line, and I go to my inspector, and I'm going to click here on this green icon called graphic. Now when you click on graphic, you can change the fill of any figure. You can change the line of any figure. Since we are playing with the line, there's no fill, just...
Sorry, just real quick. The 0, if it's not on these two computers, it's not in the center. How do you get it to the center?
Let me just show this so I can record here in 1 second. Once you go to stroke, you click on line, and then you go to this little, choose the line style, and you can pick whatever style you want. And I want the, it's not dotted, it's the hash mark line. Okay? Stop. Pause. So to do the horizontal, click on this line and click Command D. So you're gonna have two identical lines, one besides the other, and then you just need to modify the inclination by clicking in one of the tips of this line, holding Shift again, and bringing it perfectly horizontal. After I bring perfectly horizontal, I will click on the line and move it to the center of the slide. So I have this perfect cross in the middle of the slide. So now the next step is to bring the patient's photo. Easiest way, go to your folder that we gave to you, open the folder, open the folder where the two photos are.
You click it off and back on again, it can disappear so you can get to the desktop and then back on.
So one little trick for, if you use your 4 fingers up, it cleans your desktop. 4 fingers down, it comes back. The 4 fingers on your pad, if you move that up for the people that has the new one, I think almost everybody, 4 fingers down, it will spread all your files that are open. So you can jump from one to the other. 4 fingers down. 4 fingers up cleans your desktop. No? Not on the old ones, yes. Yeah.
Did it work?
It did, but mine was a little different.
Now there's a way to customize that, but let's not. Yeah. What I want is just open the folder of the pictures, and then you can easily click on the photo and drag the photo into the slide and drop it. So the photo will come very big on the slide, something like this. So I want you to click on the photo. So this is important. Every time you click on something to check if it's selected or not, you have to see those little squares around the line, an object, a picture, whatever you select. They are only selected when you see those little squares around it. So if you click on the line, you can see here 1 and 2. The line is selected. If you click on the photo, you will see the lines all around. Here, I'll just show to you. Here, you see it, the photo is selected. Okay? So I want you to click on the photo. Click on the photo. And then make it smaller. How do you make it smaller? The new Mac, the easiest way is like an iPhone. Just do it with your fingers like this. With your 2 fingers, you can make it smaller, you can make it bigger, and you can twist. So I can make it smaller, I can make it bigger, and I can twist the picture. Now, before anything, let me tell you the most important command of all of them. You'll never forget this one. It's Command Z. Command Z means undo the shit you just did. So Command Z, if you move, we're going to use a lot this because sometimes we want to move the line and by mistake we move the picture. So instead of trying to put the picture back on the perfect position, and you will never do that, Command Z. If you did 3 mistakes in a row, Command Z, Command Z, Command Z. If you did 300 mistakes, we can do Command Z. I don't know how many you can do. There's a certain limit. So just click on the picture and make it smaller. Either with your fingers in, or you can click on one of these squares. Click and hold and make it smaller or bigger. Okay? So I want to make it big enough to be able to fit the patient's face inside the slide. Okay? That's what I want. And then after I do that, I will just click here on the top in back. Means I will send the picture behind the lines. So that's what we need to do with the picture now. Make it smaller to fit the slide and send it back. Next step. I'm going to move the horizontal line a little bit to the top because the eyes will not be centered to the slide. Just to be able to level the picture behind these lines. And then I will move the picture behind the lines and I will make one of the eyes to match the horizontal line. Don't worry about the vertical line. We're just matching the eyes now. You're going to match the right eye first or the left eye. I'm doing the right eye. Match the right line. And probably, most of the cases, the left eye will not match because the picture always is slightly canted. Okay? Once you match one eye, you go back to your inspector and click on matrix, this little ruler over here. And then right on the bottom, on angle, you can go up and down, little by little, degree by degree. And this picture, to level the eyes, I have to, and then I can move on the little arrows on the keyboard. Here, there's 4 arrows on the keyboard, up, down, right, and left. For small movements, that's what I use. So I'm going up and down, and then twisting 1 degree until I level and I match both pupils to the horizontal line. Now that was a lot, so I'm gonna pause. So what I'm gonna do is a quick analysis to see if the eyes is okay with the rest of the face. So I'm gonna bring an accessory line to help me. I don't need a real line. So how do you bring these yellow accessory lines? You just click and hold on the ruler. You see on the top there. I click and hold. When I click and hold and I drag, I bring a line. Remember, these lines, once you press play on the slide, it doesn't show. They're just accessory lines to help you build the slide. So I can click and hold as many times as I want and create as many lines as I want. If I want to remove the line, I just drag the line back to the ruler and it will disappear. The same thing with the horizontal ruler. Click, hold, and drag. Click, hold, and drag, and you will have as many lines as you want. So since we are working with the horizontal, I will bring 1 horizontal line and I will slowly move this line from the top of the face to the bottom, and I will look at every important reference I have, from the eyebrows, the ears, the base of the nose, the bottom of the ear, and most important of all, the eyes and the commissural line, the angle of the mandible and the mentum. And it looks pretty good for me. This 1 degree inclination looks good because now his eyes and his lips are matching. So he's a pretty straight guy, I would say. I know there's a second meaning for that, right?
You want to pick a point to break for lunch?
Yes. So once we finish the horizontal leveling, we can go to the vertical. If the horizontal first reference is the eyes, and then the second one is the commissural, and then you adapt somewhere in between. For my vertical, my first reference is the glabella, here in between the eyebrows. So now I don't want to twist the photo anymore. If I twist, I miss the calibration. So I want to move right and left. So just with the arrow. The easiest way is right and left with the arrows on the keyboard. If you want to move faster, you click shift and you hold, it will jump faster. If you not click shift, if you don't click shift, it will go very slowly, one by one. So you get closer with holding shift, and then you release shift and you do the fine tuning. And I will calibrate with the glabella first, somewhere around this area. And the same way I did with the eyes, I will look for the rest of the references. So my vertical main references are the glabella, the philtrum, and the mentum. So 3 points. If you imagine these 3 points and you can find an average position between the 3, it's usually a nice facial midline. Okay? So we can see that his glabella, when I match his glabella, his philtrum and his mentum are slightly towards his left. Do you agree? So his philtrum is somewhere here, a little bit towards his left, and the mentum also looks like it's a little bit towards the left. Okay? Now, if you want an extra help, that's very interesting. You don't need to do that. I'm going to show. It's a nice reference. If you draw this line over here, and you flip over here, these positions here can help you with the midline position, because usually when you have a distortion or when the patient is crooked on the lower third, it's usually below the angle of the mandible. So this usually here, it's pretty straight with the face, distance. So this line can help you to move this right and left and find out the best right and left position for the midline. Okay, just one more reference. Just remember, at this point, you have to ignore the teeth. You have to pretend you don't see the teeth. The teeth are a very strong visual reference for the midline. So we have the tendency to move the picture to match the two centrals. We don't want to do that at this point. Remember, afterwards we will make the decision about ignoring the discrepancy or not. But at this point, I want to highlight this discrepancy to be able to evaluate and compare facial midline and dental midline. Afterwards, I will make the decision. So we have to take in consideration only the facial references to highlight facial and dental discrepancies.
Can you take us through that step where you drew on the angle of this?
One more interesting reference to make the decision about the midline is to duplicate this line, Command D, twice, and position it over the eyes. Until they are equidistant. Also. Here. So everything is equidistant over here. Look, all these lines are equidistant. So these are the lines that we're going to use. So if you imagine the picture behind these lines, you can help yourself to find out the facial midline. And Command S. Once I finish this right and left movement of the picture, I'm happy with the position, I'm happy with this midline according to the glabella, philtrum, and mentum. I can duplicate the slide by clicking on the little slide and Command D to duplicate the slide, and I can delete the two curves on the side, and I can delete the two lines on the eyes. And at this point, I finished the digital facebow procedure. I'm going to pause. So it's important to duplicate the slide every time you do an important step, so you can have the story of the process, you can have the step-by-step, so the number of slides will increase during the process of planning the case. So you just click on the slide, on the little slide on the left, and you click Command D to duplicate the slide, and then you continue with the next step. So I will click Command D, duplicate, and from now the next step I will do on slide number 3 instead of on slide number 2. So the next step, I want everybody to click on the photo. So you see those little white squares around the photo. And then you're going to click on mask, this icon here on the top, to crop the picture. So on PC they call it crop, on Mac they call mask. So you click on mask and it will create a frame on top of the picture. Now we can move this frame and size this frame as we wish, and I want to make the frame just to see the smile, so to outline the lips. So I bring one corner over here and I bring the other corner over here, and then I click outside the slide, outside the picture, to finish cropping. So this is the cropping masking procedure. Here I click the picture and I click mask, so I'm cropping the picture. Now on Mac, what happens is that on Keynote the picture and the frame are two separate entities, and you can play with both. And that's one of the great advantages comparing to PowerPoint, because I can move the frame as I wish, twisting without moving the picture, or if I click on the picture, I can move the picture without moving the frame. So that's what PowerPoint doesn't do. Okay? So
Do you have unmask on your toolbar?
yes, here. Once I click mask, I mask,
Oh, I see.
and then a mask becomes unmasked. So if I click like this, and I click again here, and I click unmask, it goes back to what it was. Now, the other important thing, you click on the picture, you click mask, and then you move, and then by any reason you click and it's like this. Now what you want? You want to reactivate the mask to change the mask. So what you want to do is actually to separate again the picture from the mask. So when you double click on the photo, it will highlight the picture and the mask. Now I need to click on the little line here to be able to change again. If I click on the picture, you see the little squares are not here anymore. Now the squares are on the picture. Then what is going to change is the picture. If I click on the frame, I change the frame. If I click on the picture, I change the picture. Okay? So here, look, I'm here, I'm finished, and I want to change. Just double click, click on the frame. You don't want to click on the picture. Okay, because we don't want to change the picture of position. We want to keep the picture on the same relation to the lines. The only thing that we can change is the frame here. And I want to change the frame to be able to crop only the smile. And then once I finish and once I have the margins here exactly where I want, I can just click outside and crop. Reactivate, double click. Finish, click outside. I want now to shrink the cross to fit this new little picture. Okay? So, but I don't want to, I'm going to start with the vertical line, and I don't want to change the position. I just want to make it shorter. So how do you do that? You select, you click on the line, you go over the tip on the top there, you click shift and you hold. And then you drag the line inside the picture so it doesn't change. If it moves, it's probably because you're not holding shift. And then you release. And then you do the same thing on the bottom. Go to the tip, press and hold shift, click and hold, and drag. So you have this. Vertical is in. Now you come with the horizontal. Horizontal doesn't matter if you move. The only thing you cannot do is to incline. And you're going to position it anywhere. It doesn't matter where. Just anywhere on top of the picture. Once you position it on top of the picture, we're going to shrink the same way. Go to the tip. Click and hold shift. Click and drag. Other tip. Shift. Click and drag. So we have the little cross now inside the picture. That's it. Oh, pause. Next step. Now I want to make it bigger, to fill in the slide. So what you want to do is to select everything and to group. Transform all the entities in one picture. It's like taking It's like taking a picture of the picture. So the lines in the picture now are one thing. So they cannot move anymore. So to do so, first I need to select everything on the screen. The easiest way is to click and hold and drag. So everything that this square here touches will be selected. So you need to touch the square and the two lines. Similar in PC. Who works with PC? The difference is that on PC you have to, how do you say, surround the whole entity to select it. On Mac, you just have to touch and it selects. Okay? But you do like this, that's it. Select everything. Another way, Command A. Command A means select all. So anything, if I'm in the folder like this and I click Command A, I'm going to select everything. Okay? So Command A means select all. So you can do that on the slide. Command A and you have everything together.
That's what you want.
Now, you select all. That's not enough. We have to group them. So you just click on group here. Right at the top, the icon group. And you can see here you can ungroup also. But now we want to group. Once you group, to make sure it's grouped, you will have to see this blue line surrounding everything that you selected. So you will see that on your photo, that now you have a little blue line surrounding the picture, means they are grouped together. After they are grouped, I can make them bigger, and the relation between the lines and the picture will stay the same. So I can make them bigger by grabbing one of the corners, or I can make it bigger by doing like this with my fingers. How big? Big enough, as big as possible, that you can see the whole, fill in the whole slide and see the whole contour of the lips. Then I can ungroup. Once it's right on the size you want, you can just click ungroup. And very important, after you ungroup, you want to click outside the picture, because very common, people will click ungroup and then they try to move the line and everything moves together because it's ungrouped but everything is still selected. So once you click ungroup, you come outside here where there's no picture and you click, and then everything is unselected and ungrouped, still on the same relation. Remember that you don't want to change the relation between the vertical line and the picture. So after you ungroup, be careful not to move the picture, not to move the lines, because they are separate now. And then I will save. Actually, first I will duplicate the slide. I click on the slide. Now it's yellow. Command D, I duplicate the slide. And then Command S, I save. At this point, we brought the facial cross over the smile, and we have a very clear relation between the teeth and the facial cross. So we need to decide if we're gonna, first we need to realize if the patient has shifting and canting, or shifting or cant, or you got it, right? Anyway, so here we have slightly canting and a little bit of shifting. And you can actually create a slide to highlight that for the patient. And on this situation, we will decide not to fix the shifting, but to keep the central papilla as a reference. So I'm going to click on the picture and I'm going to cheat. The cheating is I'm going to match both lines. So just with the arrows on your keyboard, right and left, I will move until I match the tip of the papilla with the facial midline. So once you got there, That's my new reference. So I'm gonna make sure that I leave one slide to make this clear to the patient that I'm doing that we are not gonna fix that for, and I'm gonna explain the reason why. So that's why we want one slide like this, one slide like this, and then I save again, and then I duplicate this one. Or better, I duplicate first and then I save. So now the next step is to transfer the information to the lab. Okay? Because if I send this to the lab, if I send this to the lab, he's gonna wax the two centrals over the old midline to fix the midline, and we don't want this. We want him to follow the papilla and wax the two centrals, just fixing the angle, the axis of the tooth. So how do we transfer this information to the model? I'm gonna click on the line and bring the horizontal line on top of the teeth, making sure that this line is crossing over the 6 anteriors. It doesn't matter if it's here, more higher or lower. I just want to make sure that it's over the 6 anteriors. Once I do that, I'm gonna bring the ruler inside my slide. Either I have the ruler on another slide already and I will copy and paste, or I can just drag the ruler from my folder that I gave to you. So we're gonna drag the 20 millimeters ruler. You click, hold, and drag and release on top of the slide. So now you have the ruler not calibrated yet on top of your slide. So I go to the model, I measure on the model with the caliper. It's saying 60 millimeters from distal of one central to distal of the other central. So I'm going to bring two lines to help me, the accessory line. So I click on the ruler, click on the ruler and drag and place it right on the distal. Click on the ruler and drag and place right on the other distal. And then I will move my ruler so it touches the 0 in one line. And then I will click on the corner of the ruler on the other corner. Click, hold, and drag until 16 matches with the other line. So the ruler is calibrated. Once it's calibrated, I can remove the yellow accessory lines. Next step is to give the technician 3 measurements so he can draw the line on the model. And these 3 measurements will be the measurements between the tip, the incisor edge of the tooth, and the line. So I want to rotate my ruler to be able to measure the vertical distance. So with the fingers like this, we can rotate as we want. Now I want to position this ruler perfectly vertical. So what do I have to hold? Shift. You hold shift and you turn until it stops vertical, and that's it. Be careful, very careful, not to change the size. If you change the size of the ruler, you lose your calibration. So you just want to rotate. Okay? So everybody makes the ruler vertically positioned. And then after that, I want to measure the distance. Tip of the left cuspid to the line. tip of the right cuspid to the line, tip of the one of the centrals to the line. So there will be 3 different measurements, and the important thing is my measure doesn't need to match your measure, because everybody placed the horizontal line on a different position. Now,
How do you rotate the ruler again?
huh?
How do you rotate the ruler again?
With the fingers like this, holding shift. So I do like this. Huh? The old one won't do that.
Most computers won't let me rotate.
So you go here on metrics, and over here and here you can write down here the angle. So it's either 270 or 90 degrees. Depends on the direction. Huh?
Use the
So now that the ruler is vertical, we're gonna make the 3 measurements. Again, if you position your ruler on the side with the 0 on this line, and you bring one accessory line, you can make the 3 measurements very fast, because I come to the first cuspid over here, and then when I stop, I can read over here 1.5. So what do? I'm gonna add a text box. So this is new. You click here on the top of the screen over there, you have the text box icon. When you click, you insert a text box, and then I will write 1.5 millimeters, and I will drag it over here, so I know that right here is 1.5. I will go to the right central, right in the middle of the central, and I will stop the ruler over here, and I will look at my ruler 1, 2, 3 millimeters. So I can bring another text box and write 3 millimeters. And then the right central, the right cuspid, I'm sorry, one, 2, 3.5 millimeters, 3.5 millimeters, and I can add a third text box, or I can just click on a already existing text box and do Command D. If you do Command D, you duplicate the text box, or you just click on the icon on the top and add a new text box. So we have these 3 measurements. Now, as I mentioned, each one of us can have different measurements. It depends where do we position the horizontal line. But if my first measurement is 1.5 and my second one is 3, if your first measurement is 2, the second one needs to be 3.5. And the third one needs to be 4. If your first one is 1 millimeter, the second one needs to be 2.5. That means if your first measurement is half millimeter smaller than mine, the other 2 will also be half a millimeter smaller. Otherwise, something's wrong. And I will click I say. So